we may be witnessing the emergence of the final empire according to prophecies from thousands of years ago. In this video, let's explore the global signs and the rise of the final beast, as well as the role of the four kings in this scenario. Let's dive in. The final prophecy is unfolding. You are living in a monumental moment, witnessing the rise of the final beast. The four kings have risen, and the signs of the final prophecy are becoming clearer than ever. This is not an event far in the future, but something happening right now, bringing profound changes to the global power structures we have known. The labor pains the world is experiencing are not just a temporary crisis, but a sign of a global change about to come. A hidden power, yet unseen by anyone, may soon reveal itself. According to the book of Daniel in Revelation, when the final beast rises, the world will never be the same. These prophecies not only signal the end of an era, but also mark the beginning of a new one, where the global powers will shift and the control will no longer lie in the hands of those we once knew. Along with this, the emergence of the final beast also opens a unique chapter in history, where mystical signs and global political events will unfold together, further clarifying the warnings from ancient prophets. The theory of the four kings, symbols of four empires, will mark a major turning point in how we understand political and power shifts. When these events unfold, no one can predict their exact direction, but it is certain that this change will profoundly affect all of human society, not only in politics, but also in culture, religion, and our understanding of the world. The rise of the four kings. Have the four kings truly emerged in the world today? If they have, the window of time left for us to prepare may be much smaller than we anticipate. Their influence is subtly but powerfully expanding across the globe, gradually weaving a web of control that many failed to notice. These actions, while currently playing out behind the scenes, will have repercussions far beyond any single country or region. They have the potential to reshape the future of humanity on a scale that impacts global politics, economies, and social systems. Daniel's vision in the Bible, particularly his dream of four beasts, is not merely a historical narrative, but a timeless prophecy that carries profound significance for our present reality. The images he saw, though framed in mystical and symbolic language, may hold the key to understanding the forces at play in our world today. Each of the four beasts represents an empire or kingdom which, in their respective eras, rose to power and left an indelible mark on history. But the relevance of these symbols does not end in the past. They continue to offer insight into the geopolitical dynamics unfolding before us. These four kings are not simply mythic figures locked in ancient texts. They may well represent the rise of political alliances or global entities whose influence is steadily undermining traditional power structures. As we witness the shifting tides in international relations, global economies, and military engagements, the question remains: are we recognizing the signs of their emergence? Understanding Daniel's prophetic dream can offer us a framework to decode these modern shifts and prepare for the future, where these emerging powers will undoubtedly alter the course of history. Looking at the current political and economic landscapes, we can observe a growing consolidation of influence. Powerful nations are increasingly aligning themselves through strategic alliances, often forming coalitions that transcend traditional borders, with each player contributing to the redefinition of global order. These changes, which may seem isolated at first glance, are indeed part of a broader unfolding process. The four kings may not be physical monarchs, but rather representations of modern geopolitical forces coming together to challenge and redesign the status quo. As we consider the evolving narrative, it is crucial to understand that this is not a passive process. The world is witnessing the reemergence of powerful coalitions that have the potential to shift the global balance of power, much like the beasts Daniel saw. These forces are preparing to seize control of key political, economic, and military levers. The transformation we are experiencing today may well be the prelude to a new global era where the old empires give way to new, powerful alliances with far-reaching implications for all aspects of life. In this light, the prophecy of the Four Kings is not just a historical curiosity. It is a lens through which we can better understand the dramatic changes unfolding right now. The rise of these powers may signal the beginning of a period of global transformation, one that will challenge our notions of leadership, influence, and power. And while the future remains uncertain, we can no longer ignore the signs that point to a world reshaped by forces that have been foretold. The time to prepare is now, as these powers are silently positioning themselves to alter the trajectory of history itself. Personally, I believe the rise of the Four Kings is not only a historical symbol, but also a warning of the powerful changes to come. As we observe the signs unfolding, it is clear that the world is entering a transformative phase, where new powers will reshape global politics, economics, and society. Analyzing Daniel's dream. Daniel's dream was not an ordinary dream, but a profound vision from heaven, filled with mysterious and terrifying images. It was a dreadful sight, full of hidden meanings, not only reflecting events in his time, but also serving as a prophecy for the future. What is noteworthy is that Daniel's dream was not just a message, but also a powerful warning. When he saw the beasts representing empires and kingdoms in his dream, they were not merely historical symbols, but also a reference to powers that could rise in the future, causing great changes in the world. This dream is not just a story from the past, but is also relevant to the present. What Daniel saw may hold the key to deciphering the ongoing upheavals in today's world. Looking at the current signs, from the rise of political powers, shifts in the global economy, to changes in the international power structure, it is clear that what Daniel witnessed is slowly becoming a reality. Dreams like these are not always simple reminders. They carry a deep warning that a dangerous challenge is near, and we need to prepare for potential upheavals. In today's time, as the world experiences powerful shifts in authority and continuous changes, Daniel's dream serves as an awakening, reminding us that history could repeat itself, and we need to view it from a broader perspective. The warning is not an unfounded fear, but a signal for us to recognize and act before it's too late. What Daniel saw may not just be stories from long ago, but signs of the era we are living in. The Four Beasts, representing the kingdoms. In Daniel 7:3, the prophet Daniel shares a vivid vision. And four great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. These creatures were not mere fantastical beings, but powerful symbols of four great kingdoms that would rise throughout history. Each beast embodies distinct characteristics, representing the nature of the empires and powers that would dominate the world. These images serve as powerful symbols of control, conquest, and dominance, qualities that have defined past empires and could signify the forces poised to emerge in the future. What we must realize here is that we are not just reading an ancient prophecy, we are witnessing the gradual unfolding of a pattern that may be repeating itself. The kingdoms Daniel saw are beginning to reappear in a new guise, perhaps through modern political, economic, or military alliances that extend their reach beyond the borders of nations. This isn't merely a fulfillment of prophecy, but rather a moment in time where we are living through a significant transformation. Powerful forces are quietly positioning themselves, ready to challenge and reshape the global order. The most pressing awareness we must confront is that we are likely on the verge of seeing the final beast emerge, one that will bring dramatic and unexpected shifts to the global stage. This final beast will not only redefine our understanding of global power, but will also leave a profound impact on every sphere of human life, from politics and economics to societal structures and cultural identities. The rise of this beast could mark a pivotal moment, where the balance of global power, as we know it, will be irrevocably altered. In my view, the beasts Daniel saw in his dream are not relics of the past. They symbolize an ongoing, evolving process. Power structures, whether they are political, military, or economic, continuously adapt and evolve through the different phases of history. If these beasts are indeed rising once more, it suggests that we are witnessing the early stages of a monumental shift, one that could forever change the nature of global governance and power dynamics. This process is not something we can afford to overlook or ignore. Instead, we must prepare for a world in which the forces of control and influence may no longer take the familiar forms of the past, but will manifest in ways that challenge our current understanding of global order. The world we have known may soon give way to a new phase in the ongoing evolution of power. The final beast and its special significance. The final beast, as described in the book of Daniel, will not be like any beast in history. It will not conquer the world through force or war, like past empires, but instead, it will use deception to expand its power and influence. Daniel 7:7 describes the final beast as terrible and frightening and exceedingly strong with 10 horns. This image is not just a terrifying sight from a distant future, but is in fact a powerful warning for the present age. What we are witnessing in today's world may perfectly align with Daniel's description of the final beast. It is not through wars or blatant violence, but through subtle deception being applied on a global scale. When this beast rises, it will not need to fight directly. Instead, it will manipulate and control the minds of people using media, technology, and clever strategies. This is the new form of power, where the terror does not come from bloody battles, but from sophisticated control over information and consciousness. The description of the beast with 10 horns could symbolize the division of power and the strong alliances that will form, where each horn represents a power, a country, or a group of nations behind the final beast. These alliances will not be easily broken, as they are built on a foundation of deceit and power compromise. Looking at the current political and economic events, it is clear to see the signs of new, powerful, and frightening forces taking shape. Therefore, the final beast is not just an event in the future, but a present-day warning, urging us to stay awake and be aware of what is gradually forming around us. The World Alliance and Future Leadership. Is the final beast quietly preparing the groundwork for a global empire as we speak? This isn't just a speculative question. It serves as a serious warning. The rise of the final beast, with its expanding power and influence, will inevitably pave the way for the emergence of the Antichrist. This figure, once he appears, will mark the beginning of a countdown that leads to a new era filled with chaos, instability, and profound transformations. When the Antichrist ascends, the world as we know it will face the collapse of established systems, and global power dynamics will be radically redefined. The political alliance and global initiatives we are witnessing today are not mere coincidences. They may be critical building blocks in the larger strategy of setting the stage for the rise of these forces. Countries and international organizations are forging increasingly tighter bonds, strengthening treaties, and creating alliances that could be key steps toward the formation of a unified global empire. This process involves the gradual consolidation of power into the hands of a select few major players, while those left outside the circles of influence are pushed ever further to the periphery. It is crucial that we do not dismiss these events as simply political maneuvering. The current alliances may be laying the groundwork for the rule of the Antichrist, a leader who will not gain control through brute force alone, but by employing cunning strategies and manipulation. The world will be swept into a web of sophisticated deception, where truth becomes obscured and the masses are lured into compliance through fear, promises, and calculated narratives. As these powers continue to strengthen their hold, we must ask ourselves, are we truly aware of the signs around us? Will we recognize the magnitude of the changes unfolding before it's too late? In essence, we are witnessing the gradual rise of a new world order, one in which power is increasingly centralized in the hands of a few, and control over global governance is quietly shifting. The looming question is whether we are prepared to understand the significance of these shifts before they overwhelm us. Are we willing to see beyond the surface and grasp the full implications of what is taking place? As these forces continue to consolidate their power, we will be faced with a critical crossroads that could redefine the future of humanity. Personally, I believe that the current political and economic alliances are not just simple agreements, but could be significant steps in preparing for a new era, where power will concentrate in the hands of forces that are not yet clearly identifiable. If the final beast and the Antichrist are indeed quietly forming, then we may be living in a transitional period full of instability, where everything will change without warning. The final conflict and the return of the Lord. When the final beast and its kings rise, the world will witness an irreversible change. This change will not only be a revolution of power, but also the end of an era where everything we once knew will collapse under the influence of dark forces. The final beast, with its deception and power, will lead to a global conflict where nations and kingdoms will not be able to withstand the rise of new powers. But what is important is that when the judgment comes, no power will be able to stop it. This judgment is not just a distant event in the future, but an inevitable part of the grand plan that God has set in motion. All empires, alliances, and human powers will crumble before the Lord, and only those who remain steadfast in faith, those who stand firm in truth and justice, will be able to overcome this trial. The final conflict is not just a war between nations, but a battle between good and evil, between the dominion of God and the power of the beast. This will be the defining moment when light will overcome darkness, and when the Lord returns to bring about the final judgment. Those who persist in faith will be given the kingdom, while those who follow the beast will face punishment. At that time, there will be no room for compromise or hesitation, only the ultimate choice: stand with the Lord or face destruction. The final battle. The prophecy about the final beast is no longer a distant story, but is gradually becoming a reality right before our eyes. The signs of this rise are appearing strongly and clearly, pushing us into a situation where we can no longer hesitate. The world is changing rapidly, and the time to prepare is quickly running out. Every decision we make at this moment not only impacts the present, but also determines our eternal fate. The final battle is not just a battle for global power, but also a personal inner struggle for each individual. This is the moment when we all must awaken, reflect, and prepare ourselves mentally for the challenges ahead. There is no longer time for hesitation or avoidance. The choices we make today could affect our eternal life in the future. Every action, every decision to stand for truth or deception will determine where we stand in this battle. On the side of light or darkness, on the side of life or death. We cannot continue living in indifference. Instead, we must stay awake and be ready to face what is coming. In the end, when the final beast rises, everything will change forever, and only those who stand firm in faith will be able to overcome. Do not allow yourself to fall into deception, as the time to prepare is quickly running out. What do you think about these prophecies? Are we living in the final days of human history? Share your thoughts and join the discussion about the upcoming global changes. Stay tuned to Premonition for more fascinating information.